Hello everyone, welcome to part 1 of my Ultimate Collection video. In this video I'm going to be looking over some of the CDs that I have in my collection. This is actually the second time I've tried recording this video. The first time ended up being like almost 40 minutes long, and the camera cut out twice on me for, I don't know why it does it. It doesn't do it very often, but it was really just not cooperating with me. So I thought instead of showing everything and talking about all the CDs that I thought I would narrow it down to 5 groups or bands, or technically 6, however you want to look at it, that have really influenced my taste in music over the years. When I first started really kind of trying to develop my own taste in music, the only thing I really had to go off of was what was popular, what was being played on TV, you know, the music that was on Much Music in Canada, back when they actually would play music. So early on, my taste in music wasn't really that great. You know, it involved, unfortunately, things like Eminem and Kid Rock and things that I'm almost ashamed to admit now. I no longer have any of those in my collection. But one band that I really was drawn to early on, that I, would still, proudly listen to today, is the Offspring. So the Offspring was my first favorite band. So I went through and picked up, all the CDs that they had at the time. I don't know if I have anything newer out than what I have here now, but we'll just kind of go through and just have a look at some of them here. So let's start with just their first album, self-titled, The Offspring. This came out in, I think it originally came out in either 89 or 90. It says here 1995, but that's when they actually redid it for the CD. It initially came out on vinyl, actually, I think is what it initially came out on. And this album is pretty awesome. Kind of rough sounding compared to some of their later stuff, but still a really cool album. Their second one, and one that I don't think a lot of people really talk about, is Ignition. This was actually the first CD that I ever owned, and at the time I thought it was their newest one because there was a rumor that they were going to be coming out with one. Now at the time that I picked this up, their most recent album was Americana, so there's, I thought that perhaps this was the one that was going to come out after that. This is actually from, I think, back in '92, but some really great songs on there. Session, We Are One, Kick 'Em When He's Down. Dirty Magic is probably one of my, in the top 5 of my favorite Offspring songs. No Hero, Hypodermic, just really great album altogether. And this was, like I said, the first CD I ever actually owned. Their third album was Smash, and this is kind of where they got really big. So this is the first album where they had music videos and some awesome songs on there like Nitro, Bad Habit, Genocide, Something to Believe in. Self-Esteem is probably still my favorite Offspring song, or it's in the top 3 at the very least. Really love it. So Alone, Smash, Not the One, just again, awesome CD. And this is the second time I had to buy it, actually. The first time I had it, it looked more like this one here with kind of like the black plastic thing on it there. I lent out all my CDs, Offspring CDs, to a co-worker a few years back, and I got them all back except for this one. So for a couple of years I went without it, and I finally found another copy of it, so had to pick it up because, again, just really great album. Then I've got Ixnay on the Ombre, which again was probably I think my overall favorite album. Meaning of Life is great. Gone Away, again, I would have to put it in my top 3. If it's not my favorite, it's definitely the second or third favorite song of mine. Amazed and Change the World are just awesome. And this is the album that actually got me interested in the Offspring in the first place. So this is Americana. This was their newest one that was out when I started trying to listen to music. It's famous for songs like Pretty Fly for a White Guy or Why Don't You Get a Job, and those are the ones that kind of got them really well known. But songs like Have You Ever, The Kids Aren't Alright, No Breaks, it was just really cool CD album, and this is what actually got me aware of them in the first place. So I owe my love of music really to kind of these guys. And there's Conspiracy 1, which is, in my opinion, a pretty underrated album. Songs like Come Out Swinging are really great. Million Miles Away is probably my favorite song on the album. If it's not that, then it would probably be Denial Revisited, or Conspiracy One, but this again is another really solid album. And then we're going to get into a couple of ones that I'm not a huge fan of. The first one here is Splinter, and for me this kind of started a trend that lasted for a couple of albums where really their best songs, like the first 4 or 5, in this case up to song 6, I think was really great. And then after that I just really didn't care for any of the songs that were on here. But The Noose was awesome, Long Way Home. Not a huge fan of Hit That, but I don't hate it. Race Against Myself was great. And Can't Get My Head Around You was an awesome song as well. And then there is Rise and Fall, Rage and Grace. And I've got to be 100% honest, I really don't remember any songs off this album. I kind of feel like, again, the first few songs, first 5 or 6 are ones that I really liked. And I just didn't really care for the rest of the album, maybe with the exception of the last song. But again, I honestly can't remember anything about this, so I'm gonna have to give another listen one of these days. But there's that one. And then I say kind of a return to form is Days Go By. This album is pretty sweet. There's a couple songs that I'm not a big fan of, but The Future Is Now, Secrets from the Underground, Days Go By is great. They did a re-recorded version of Dirty Magic, which is better than the original, which is, again, one of my favorite songs by them ever. Slim Pickens Does the Right Thing and Rides the Bomb to Hell is an awesome song as well. And then I picked up their greatest hits, mainly because the CD player that I had, I don't really listen to MP3s, so I still had a Discman at the time. And going on for half-hour walk or whatever, I didn't really want to change discs during that. So this has a collection of pretty much some of my favorite songs by them, but it also has Can't Repeat and Defy You, which are songs that were either on like soundtracks or other albums that weren't their own whole albums. So I wanted to get it for those songs, which is pretty cool. So, as big a fan as I was of The Offspring, I was still trying to figure out, I guess what my tastes really were. And, I enjoyed them, but there was a lot of other stuff that I was just really starting to not like, and I wanted to listen to more than just, the one band. And it was interesting because it was summer vacation, it was the year 2000, and I was up late watching The Late Show with David Letterman. And their musical guest was the band A Perfect Circle, and they played their song Judith. And from that moment, I just, that was one of the bands that's like, okay, this is awesome, and I want to listen to more of them. So with that in mind, here are the Perfect Circle CDs. So this is sort of a side project from a bunch of other bands. The lead singer was Maynard James Keenan, and he'll become important here in a moment. But their first album was Mer de Nom, which is, I think, French for Sea of Names. And this album from start to finish is just amazing. It instantly got me hooked into, heavier music. And there are some very ones that are much softer in tone, but still really great. What do we have here? 3 Libras is an amazing song. Listen to that if you haven't heard already. Judith is, pretty heavy and aggressive, but again, it was awesome. And like Brenya is great. Just like I said, The Hollow, Magdalena, Rose, just awesome CD. And then their second album came out. It's called The 13th Step. And this one is pretty solid as well. Weak and Powerless is an amazing song. The Noose, Blue, Stranger, The Outsider. Just again, some really awesome songs on here as well. And then their third album, which has sort of like a holographic thing. I'm hoping it's turning up well on the video. This was Emotive, and this is mostly a bunch of cover songs. Some of them are covers from some of the songs that they've done before, like Counting Bodies Like Sheep to the Rhythm of the War Drums was a lyric from a song on The 13th Step, one of their songs there. It's not their strongest album, unfortunately, but Annihilation is great. Imagine is good. Passive is really awesome. And other than that, it's not their strongest one, but again, it's cover songs. This came out around the time that I think George Bush was re-elected. What year did this come out? I'm not going to look too far onto here. I can't see it off the top of my head, but it came out around the time. It was either when he was initially voted in or shortly thereafter, and it was kind of, you could almost say it was a protest album, I guess, but again, some really cool songs, and Passive is awesome. So coming back to school after summer break, I had Murdenon with me, and a friend of mine noticed it and said, the lead singer from that album, from that band, is also the lead singer of a band called Tool, and you should really check them out. And so I did, and here are their albums. So the first one is Opiate, very bizarre image on the front there, which, if anybody listens to Tool knows that weird imagery is kind of part and parcel for the band. This one is actually almost a more standard, kind of generic metal album, but it's really great. It's only got 6 songs on it, 2 of which are live, but just, again, really, really cool. But with that, they were able to put out an album that was sort of more along the lines of what they're like now, a little more progressive or experimental, and this is Undertow. And again, just another awesome album. Sober's great. Undertow is an awesome song. Flood, really, really awesome album. And now we have my favorite overall Tool album. And again, this one also has, I don't know how well it's going to turn up in the video, especially with glare, but it's got a unique cover that is sort of holographic, but it's based on the, if you can hear it there, it's the actual cover itself that makes this effect. And this is the album Anima. And it doesn't list the tracks on the back here, but this one has my favorite Tool song of all time, which is 46 and 2. The song Enema is also great. There's just so many awesome songs on this one. Fantastic album. And then this is Lateralis. Now, it came with a slipcover that had the listings of all the songs. Unfortunately, I don't have that anymore, but this album has, again, some fantastic songs. The Grudge, which is the opening track, is amazing. Schism is great. The combination of Parable and Parabola are amazing. Awesome, awesome album. And then their most recent album, which still came out 11 years ago, which is 10,000 Days. Now this one has sort of a unique little gimmick to it, that there's these 2 lenses, and inside there's some artwork that you can look at, various pictures here, and it creates like a 3D sort of image, which is really cool. Again, another fantastic album. My favorite song off this one is Vicarious. So in addition to their CDs, they also put out a few single DVD music videos, which I have here. So this is the one for Schism. It just shows some artwork from the video itself, and I want to say it comes with, oh, if I can get it out there we go. Just comes with like a little booklet which shows, again, some pictures from the video itself. Really weird, kind of trippy video, but amazing song, awesome video. So again, once this came out, I think it was only like $6 or something to get these, so it was really cool. And this is the one for the song, which is the combination of Parable and Parabola. So that one there. And then we have Vicarious from 10,000 Days, and it also has the 3D lenses there, and there's some pages you can bring out. You kind of set up in this little tab here, and you can look at them, so that's really cool. So this was the band that really kind of got me into heavier music, like heavy metal. In addition to them, another band that I discovered around the same time was Disturbed. So I got their albums here. So this is the first one, The Sickness. This one sounds a lot different actually from all of their other ones, mainly because it has more of a techno element. So it's kind of like a combination of electronic music and metal at the time, which is really cool. And this has some great songs like Voices, Stupefy, Down with Sickness is great, Shout 2000 is really cool, Meaning of Life is great. So an awesome album. I'm going to be saying that a lot, so I apologize. And then we have Believe. I don't have the booklet that came with this anymore, And the basic story behind it is I left it at work for someone else to listen to. I kind of want to say it's the same person that I lent my Offspring CDs out to. And for some odd reason, the booklet just disappeared, and I never found it again. But this has some awesome songs on here as well. Prayer, Liberate, Believe, Intoxication, Rise, Mistress. Awesome album as well. And again, I'm sorry if I repeat myself too much on that. And then we have 10,000 Fists, which I almost want to say came out the same year as, came out a year before 10,000 Days. So between 2005 and 2006, the number 10,000 was very popular. And, you know, the songs like 10,000 Fists, Defy, Stricken's great, Avarice, Pain Redefined, Land of Confusion, which is a cover song, Sacred Lie, fantastic album as well. Then I got Indestructible, which has some awesome songs on here as well. They're not all that necessarily the best, but Indestructible is great. Inside the Fire, Deceiver, The Night, Criminal, some awesome songs on here as well. And then I've got the special edition of Asylum. So this actually came out with, so they had the regular CD that you get, or you could get the special edition, which comes with a DVD, Decade of Disturbed, which unfortunately I still haven't actually watched yet. I really should get around to doing that, because again, you know, this is a pretty decent album, although not as solid as some of their other ones. Remnants and Asylum, the first two tracks, the Remnants is an instrumental, and it's the first album that they had that opened with an instrumental. And when I get to one of my other favorite bands, you'll see how much I love instrumental openings. But that's a really great song. Warrior's pretty good. Never Again is decent. And then there's a couple of live songs on there as well. But overall, this isn't their greatest album, but just the opening of Remnants and Asylum alone just makes it pretty awesome. And then I have Disturbed the Lost Children. So this was a collection of songs that they had done for like movie soundtracks or other compilation CDs. None of these tracks appeared on their regular CDs, so they may have been like special editions or singles or, like I said, soundtracks. And there's some really great songs on here. The thing that I like about this album is the lead singer has a very distinct sound to him. But there are some songs where he sings sort of like what I guess you consider to be clean vocals, and I actually don't really like those songs as much. I like sort of the heavier sound, the more unique sound to his voice, and pretty much all of these songs have that, which is really cool. Also, just as a side note, the lead singer also did a, David Draven, I think is his name, just kind of popped in my head here, but had a side band as well called Device. I think this is the only album that they ever put out. But there's some cool songs on here as well. Vilify is one that I pretty much listened to 3 or 4 times in a row because it's so great. So that's them. That's Disturbed and Device. So I can't really talk about being a fan of heavy metal music without talking about Metallica. Now, I'm not a huge fan of them these days, but early on, I really liked a lot of their stuff. So, like I said, I went through and picked up a bunch of their CDs. So this is their first one, Kill 'Em All. Seek and Destroy, awesome. Hit the Lights. Anesthesia is an instrumental, which is really cool. Metal Militia, just a really decent album. Then we got Ride the Lightning. My favorite song off this is actually their instrumental, The Call of Cthulhu, which ended the album. For Whom the Bell Tolls is also a really great song. Master of Puppets, which Master of Puppets is probably one of my favorite songs off this one. Battery is great. Orion, again, the instrumental is really awesome. The Thing That Should Not Be is really cool as well because it's based off of Lovecraft, or an homage to H.P. Lovecraft, so that's really awesome. And then we have Injustice for All. With Injustice for All, Eye of the Beholder, 2 songs I really love. One is probably the best song off of this album. Then they've got some instrumentals on here as well, which is really great. So, pretty cool album. This is the first Metallica album I actually owned. This is referred to as the Black Album. And I know it's kind of like the one that, you know, a lot of people say this, where Metallica, you know, sold out or whatever they want to use. But you know what? They became popular because they were good, and I like this album. Enter Sandman, you know, it is overplayed, but Sad But True is awesome. The Unforgiven is my favorite Metallica song, hands down, of all time. Wherever I May Roam is great. You know, The God That Failed is really awesome. So there are some good songs on here. There's more than just Enter Sandman. Then I got Load, which definitely a departure from what their other albums were. And this is the one that I would really consider to be the most mainstream of their albums. But they do have some amazing songs on here, like Until It Sleeps, King Nothing, Hero of the Day, Bleeding Me, and The Outlaw Torn are amazing. And then there's Reload, which doesn't really have as much going for it. The Fuel, The Memory Remains, and The Unforgiven 2 are pretty much the only songs that I really like off here. I think I enjoy Carpe Diem Baby enough to listen to it, but really it's just The Unforgiven 2, Fuel, and The Memory Remains. The Memory Remains is probably my favorite song off this album. And then I have Symphony in Metal, or S&M. So this was their live concert that they had done with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. And this kind of opened the door, I think, for a lot of stuff that would come later, because I really love the combination of the orchestral or symphonic elements mixed in with the heavy metal. So this got me into bands down the road, like you know, Nightwish, Within Temptation, and some other bands that, you know, I'm going to get to here in a moment. So this one was really awesome. Love this one. This one, not so much. This is Saint Anger. I don't really like this album. I got it for cheap. And it's just not that great. So we're just gonna move right on to Death Magnetic, which is better. I don't really remember a lot from this album, unfortunately. I do remember that I loved The Unforgiven 3, which is probably my favorite song off the album. So that's my Metallica collection. So after listening to that, I got into other bands like Iron Maiden, and one of the Iron Maiden songs that I really loved, and my favorite song from them for a while, was a song called Hallowed Be Thy Name. Really love that one. And because of that, my attention was brought to a cover of that song done by a band that's now my all-time favorite band. Absolutely love them. And that band is Cradle of Filth. So this is like a gothic metal band. The earlier albums, I guess, could be considered full-on like black metal. Like I said, this is just my favorite band. As soon as I listened to them, that was pretty much it. And because of them, I started listening to other bands like Dimmu Borgir, which I'm a big fan of. And when I got to see these guys live a couple of times, the first concert I went to, the two opening acts were Satyricon, which were amazing, and I bought a couple of their albums, and another band called Septic Flesh, which is like more of a death metal band, but they were pretty cool as well, so I got a couple of their albums. But this is the band that is, like I said, my favorite band hands down, and this is their first album, The Principle of Evil Made Flesh, and this one is very different from anything that they've done since then. Just the vocal styles, the way it's mixed, unbelievable. This came out in 1994, so 23 years ago is when this came out. But this band, like I said, they are my favorite, and I've got a huge stack of their CDs, so let's go through them here. We also have Vampire. So this isn't a full-length album, but what it is it's got 6 songs on it. I think it was referred to as an EP. I'm not quite sure what the term EP really stands for, but this one is just 6 songs of pure awesomeness. Queen of Winter Throned is, if not my favorite, probably my second favorite of their songs ever. Nocturnal Supremacy, The Force Whispered My Name, it's just a really, again, really awesome album. Here is my favorite album from them overall. This is Dusk and Her Embrace. Every song on this is amazing, from Heaven Torn Asunder, a Gothic Romance, which is, again, probably, if not my favorite, then, you know, my second or third favorite song. It's a toss-up between that and Queen of Winter Throne, but there's other great songs like Dusk and Her Embrace herself, Beauty Slept in Sodom, Malice Through the Looking Glass, just awesome. This was the second album of theirs that I ever bought. The first one that I bought was Cruelty and the Beast, and this is a concept album dedicated to the Romanian Countess Elizabeth Bathory. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but she is responsible, or partially responsible, along with Vlad Tepes, as one of the progenitors of the vampire mythologies. So if you're interested in that, if you want to learn more about the history of how vampire mythology came into being, you should definitely look up Elizabeth Bathory. But this album, the reason I got this is that it had Hallowed Be Thy Name on the bonus disc. But this album is awesome. I mean, 13 Autumns and a Widow, Beneath the Howling Stars, The Twisted Nails of Faith, and then the Bathory Aria, which was a collection of 3 tracks that all merged together to form one long song. It's like, I think, 20 minutes long or something like that, 15, 20 minutes long. Unbelievable. And then there's probably what most people consider to be their best album. I like it, but I don't like it as much as I like Dusk in Her Embrace. This is Midian. This is the first album to feature Doug Bradley doing some voice work for the band, who played Pinhead in the Hellraiser movies. So this has some awesome songs like Cthulhu Dawn, where are we here? Her Ghost in the Fog, Tortured Soul Asylum. Awesome album. There's another short, I guess you could call it an EP. This is from the Cradle to Enslave. So this album came out. There's also a DVD, which I'll get to in my DVD collection. But this has, I think, 6 songs on it as well, some of which are cover songs. One was a cover of a song that they've already done, but From the Cradle to Enslave is awesome, and the song Sleepless is pretty awesome as well. And then I have sort of like their one of their greatest hits albums, you could call it. This is Lovecraft and Witch Heart. So this features tracks from Dusk in Her Embrace, excuse me, Dusk in Her Embrace, Cruelty and the Beast, and Midian. So like Vampire and, unfortunately, The Principle of Evil Made Flesh, they didn't have, I guess, the rights to publish the songs under this particular label, so they didn't have anything from there. But the first disc is just basically like the greatest hits, and then the second disc has some cover tracks, some alternate versions of some of their other songs, and is pretty sweet. Then we've got 11 Burial Masses. So this is a combination CD DVD. Whoop. That doesn't like to stay in its case, but what this is it was a live concert. So the live concert, so the disc 1 has the concert on there that you can listen to, and then disc 2 is the DVD of the concert as well, which is again really awesome. So this is really cool to get. Then we have Bittersweets to Succubi. So this was an album that was kind of in between, transitioning from one label to another. So they put this out under their own Abracadabra label. But this has some really great songs on here as well. All Hope It Eclipse, Summer Dying Fast. So some of these are updated versions of songs from The Principle of Evil Made Flesh, including The Principle of Evil Made Flesh, Summer Dying Fast, and where we have here The Black Goddess Rises. But songs like Suicide and Other Comforts, No Time to Cry, and Scorched Earth Erotica are really awesome as well. So this here is Live Bait for the Dead. So this is actually the same concert that was in 11 Burial Masses. So it's the same performance, same everything for the first disc, but this actually comes with a second audio disc. And the second audio disc has a few remixes, alternate versions of some of the songs that they had on previous albums, as well as some soundcheck recordings from before the actual concert itself. So again, I had to pick this up as well. And we've got Damnation in a Day, which is another concept album that's basically... the tagline, I guess, from it is From Genesis to Nemesis, so it covers elements of the Bible, from the creation to, again, the end of the Bible, of Revelations. So this is actually, again, a really cool album. Kind of underrated, but, again, really cool. Then we've got 2 different versions of the album Nymphetamine. So this is the special... Alright, sorry about that. It seemed did that camera cutting out thing again. I think it happens, I want to say at the 30-minute mark. I don't know what it is, but anyway, let's just get through this here as quickly as we can. So this is Nymphetamine. So this album, again, I really like it. You know, there's songs on here like Nemesis is amazing, Gabrielle is amazing, and then of course there's Mother of Abominations, Swan Song for a Raven, and the song Nymphetamine itself, which are two different versions of. One is the shorter version that they have in the music video, and the other is a much longer version. And the bonus disc has a few extra tracks on there as well, including a cover of Mr. Crowley, which is an Ozzy Osbourne song. So again, really great album. Then we come to what a lot of people consider to be their weakest album, which is Thornography. I like it, but I do admit that it's not necessarily their best work. But there are some great songs on here, like Dirge Inferno, Tonight in Flames, Lovesick for Mina is pretty good, Cemetery and Sundown, Fetus of a New Day Kicking, Under Hunter's Moon, and their cover song of Temptation, again, is also actually really good. And then this is the Thornography Harder, Darker, Faster. So this just has the regular album as well as some bonus tracks and a collection of music videos. The thing that I don't like about this one is the bonus tracks and the videos. They're on the same disc, meaning that the second disc doesn't really play in a regular CD player. So you have to play it like on a DVD player or on a CD-ROM, because it has like the DVD videos on there as well. But still pretty cool. And then there is one of my favorite albums from them, Godspeed on the Devil's Thunder, another concept album dedicated to the French serial killer Gilles de Rais. Again, I'm not going to go into a lot of information there, but if you're interested in the history of that, you should definitely check that out. The short version of it is he was believed to have been a noble who fought alongside of Joan of Arc and kind of went a little crazy when Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. So again, really cool album. I actually got to see them live after this album came out, and songs like Shot Out of Hell are amazing. The 13th Caesar is great. Tragic Kingdom is probably my favorite song off the album altogether. But again, this is just a great album. Then we've got Darkly, Darkly, Venus Aversa. I got to see them in concert actually after this album came out as well. So this is another concept album, and this one is based off of the biblical story of Lilith and you know, the not so great elements of that mythology. You know, focusing on her being sort of like the temptress that got Adam and Eve kicked out of Eden. So this is, again, a really awesome album. This is the special edition. I didn't get the regular edition of this one, but this is the special edition, which has some extra tracks. But the Call to Venus Verse is a great song. What do we have here? Lilith Immaculate is probably my favorite. Forgive Me, Father, I Have Sinned is really great as well. And we're almost done here. So we've got Evermore Darkly, which is a collection of different versions of some of the songs from Darkly, Darkly, Venus Versa, as well as a DVD that has a live concert, which again is really cool. Then we have Manticore and Other Horrors. This is probably one of the more forgettable albums, unfortunately. For Your Vulgar Delegation is a song that I really like. Frost on Our Pillows is another song that I really like. Manticore I like as well, but it's just not, like I said, their strongest album, unfortunately. Then we have Midnight in the Labyrinth. So this is sort of a reimagining of some of their older songs. So they got the rights back to their earlier stuff, and they basically did sort of like orchestral versions of it. And the idea was that it was kind of like listening to this would almost be like listening to a horror soundtrack. So it's really actually a really cool album. Really enjoy it. And then we've got their last album. So the most recent one, Hammer of Witches. And this is, a lot of people consider this to be a return to form and their best album since Midian. And I can't really argue that's not an awesome album. Love pretty much every song on here. My favorite one is probably right wing of the Garden Triptych, but again, there's just some great songs on here. And I have the special edition as well that I haven't opened up yet. I got this in Montreal actually, and it has a couple of bonus tracks on there. But like I said, I haven't opened it up yet. One of these days I'll get to that. So anyway, that was just the highlights of my CD collection. I have a few other scattered albums from other bands, but again, this one's already gone over half an hour. The other one was 45 minutes or more. So I just wanted to go over, again, some of the more influential ones, the ones that I will probably still listen to this day, where a lot of the other albums that I have are ones that are just kind of sitting on the shelf. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this little insight into, again, some of my background, my musical tastes, and we'll see you for the next part where I look at some of my DVD collection.